How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Coyote Corner. Well, the much-anticipated trip to Eugene is come and gone for the Coyotes, but before we get into the highlights, let's take a closer look at how the players and coaches geared up for one of the premier programs in the country. And for more on that, here's Alex Heinert.
Thanks, Jay. Well, regardless of your division level or your conference affiliation, getting ready to play a team like the University of Oregon is equal parts game preparation and management. After all, this is a program that's gone 58-9 since 2009, reaching 4 BCS games over that span. Plus, they boast some of the most modern facilities anywhere on the planet. Yet while Joe Glenn and the Coyotes voiced respect and admiration for the Duck program in the days leading up to the game, they also kept the entire Oregon experience in the proper perspective. The moment you step foot in Eugene, Oregon, you know you're in Duck country. The signs of UO's presence are everywhere in this college town of 160,000, the second largest city in the state. Yet no place is the Duck footprint more overwhelming than at Autzen Stadium, home of Oregon football since 1967. After arriving in Eugene on Friday, South Dakota's football team made their way to the recently updated facility for practice. And while it would have been easy to get caught up in the size and the scope of the $90 million facility, the Coyotes didn't spend much time sightseeing before turning their attention back to football.
We got in here, started going through a walkthrough, and felt like another game. So it was cool. It was a cool experience to walk in, see the big stadium, kind of get in and picture the whole scene of what it's going to look like. We're ready for the game.
There's a lot of bells and whistles, but compared to some other places we've been, like Wisconsin was similar in size. It's not anything we haven't seen before. It's impressive to say the least.
When talking about the game itself, it's not hard to understand why the team would downplay the magnitude of the contest, though head coach Joe Glenn was quick to point out how rare and how exciting the opportunity to take on a team like the Ducks really is.
To have a game against a team of this prestige, I guess, third team in the nation, possibly the Heisman Trophy winner. This is this is stuff they can tell their grandchildren about.
While the Oregon experience was always going to be remembered, the potential that the final score might be something to forget loomed large on the eve of kickoff. But despite their underdog status, Coach Glenn wasn't one to doubt his team's heart.
We're going to play hard. We're going to play with all the courage and desire and fight and everything we've got, and lay it on the line for the Coyotes, and we'll walk off the field with our heads held high, and we'll make a good account of ourselves. I know we will.
Coach Glenn mentioned before the game that he expected the team to play hard and to have fun in their matchup against the Ducks, and it appears he was spot on in that assessment, Jay.
All right, thanks, Alex. Plenty of fun to be had, that's for sure. And we've got the pictures to prove it. Highlights from Saturday's season opener coming up next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Billionauto.com.
And welcome back. Well, USD has done the FBS thing before. In fact, Saturday's showdown with Oregon was the Coyotes' 7th game against an opponent from college football's top tier in the last 5 seasons. But I think we can all agree that this particular matchup was a different animal. Literally, this was the Ducks, the high-flying Ducks that came in ranked 3rd in the country and featured one of the early favorites for the Heisman Trophy in quarterback Marcus Mariota. Here's a look at the highlights from USD's first ever meeting with Oregon. Let's head to beautiful Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, the zoo, as they call it. It didn't take long for the Coyotes to get a good look at the Ducks' high-powered attack. 5th play from scrimmage. Mariota looking deep over the middle, and he's got Dwayne Stanford wide open. 62-yard pitch and catch for the score. Ducks get the 2-point conversion and lead 8-0 early. USD looked to answer on its first possession. Kevin Earl across the middle to Josh Vandermotten. Nice run after the catch, too. Picks up 9 yards and a first down. 3 plays later, Earl looking to throw again, finds Eric Shuford this time, and the man called Munchie moves the sticks as well down to the Oregon 37. Drive stalled from there, so the Yotes settle for a 47-yard field goal attempt from Miles Bergner, and there was no doubt about it. Bergner drills it for a new career long and gets the Coyotes on the board. The Ducks would answer that three with 6 on their ensuing possession. Nobody picks up Byron Marshall out of the backfield, and he coasts into the end zone. 41 yards for the score, 14-3 Ducks. It's 21-3 early in the second, but the Coyotes on the move again. Earl going to tuck it and run. Scampers 12 yards to give USD a first and goal at the Oregon 3-yard line. Coyotes would be unable to punch it in, though, and settle for a 25-yard Bergner field goal, cutting the deficit to 15. Oregon responds again, this time with freshman phenom Royce Freeman. Breaks loose for his second touchdown of the half. This one from 26 yards out. It's 28-6. Ducks appear to add to that lead on their next possession. Marshall finds a seam and sees nothing but green in front of him. Should be a 53-yard touchdown, but keep your eye on the football. Marshall appears to lose control before he breaks the plane. The officials would review it and confirm it. That's a touchback, USD ball. But that good fortune turned bad on the very next play. Trevor Bama fumbles at the end of a nice run, and the Ducks recover at the USD 40. Didn't take long for him to cash in on that opportunity. Mariota evades the pressure and throws an absolute strike to guess who? Marshall makes the most of the second chance. 11-yard touchdown extends the Oregon lead to 29. Coyotes still fighting though. Next possession, Earl swings it out to Bama, and he's got some running room. Takes it inside the Ducks 20 for a 1st and 10 USD. Jasper Sanders had set it all up with a 45-yard run earlier in the drive. He gets it again here, 16 more. Sanders racked up 132 all-purpose yards on the night. His buddy Bama would finish it off one snap later. Powers his way to pay dirt from 3 yards out. Yote's first touchdown of the year cuts it to 35-13. The Ducks were just too explosive. Mariota marches his team right down the field, capping off a 10-play, 76-yard drive with a 1-yard score. He is every bit as good as advertised, folks. Oregon led 41-13 at the break, and they go on to win it by a count of 62-13. Mariota played just the first half, but finished 14 of 20 for 267 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 43 and a score. Marshall added 228 total yards and 2 touchdowns for the Ducks. The Coyotes, though, represented themselves well. They left Autzen Stadium with their heads held high.
And we knew coming in, these guys were going to score points. They put up 50, 60 points against the best teams in the country. So I feel like, we're never going to play a team faster than they are. We're never going to play a team as efficient as these guys are. So I think going forward, that'll be huge for us, knowing that we're never going to play a team of that caliber.
Now, there was some bad news for USD. Quarterback Kevin Earl left the game in the third quarter on Saturday with an injury to his throwing hand. X-rays at the stadium did reveal a small fracture in his thumb, so Earl's future is in question. Backup Ryan Sager finished the game, completing 5 of 8 passes for 62 yards. Now, we've got much more to come in the Coyotes quarterback situation. Head coach Joe Glenn will give us an update when we return on Coyote Corner.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner. I am Jay Elsen, joined now by head coach of your Coyotes, Joe Glenn. And Joe, final score at Oregon, 62-13. But people have been waiting for this game for a long time. There have been several other FBS opponents, as you know, but this one, obviously a little bit different. This was your chance to share the field with one of the premier programs in all of college football. What an experience for you and your football team.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and thought our guys handled it real well. We hit really a team that's hot in college football as far as moving the ball, and they were talked about. They're really good offensively, and I thought we went 15 rounds with a pretty good heavyweight, and I think we found out they were as good as they were billed, and yet we did some really good things as well.
On the offensive side, you did a lot of pretty good things. 370 yards of total offense. You had 19 first downs, 13 first-half points against their number ones. You held the ball for almost 40 minutes in the game. So overall, you pretty pleased with that?
Yeah, we had 4 backs run for together 178 yards. Now, you fast backward a little bit. We ended last season really with not one healthy running back. So between our 4 backs, they average 4.5 a carry. That you can hang that on them in the offensive line. I think we had 9 receivers catch the ball, half of those first-time players. So a lot of fun things happened for first-time Coyotes.
Sure. On the defensive side, now you obviously have to take the opponent into consideration. This is a different kind of offense, but let's focus on the secondary. That, of course, was your biggest question mark coming into the season. What did you learn about that group?
Well, we learned that Oregon is faster than we thought, and their quarterback Marcus Mariota, the guy, the leader in the clubhouse or at the preseason clubhouse for the Heisman Trophy, was sensational. He threw the heck out of it. Unfortunately, we had a little run-in at nose guard. Our starting nose guard got sick the week of and then we had another nose guard injure his back. And then the first series of the game, John Mogg, he got a hip pointer, and we played with Bailey Sutko, true freshman, played 38 snaps against a good offensive football team. And Craig Krolikowski, winner South Dakota, I think he played about 30 snaps in the D-line. So a lot of fun things, but tough on the defense.
You always hope, obviously, to get out of these games as healthy as possible. Unfortunately for you, unable to do that. Quarterback Kevin Earl leaves the game in the third quarter with an injury to his throwing hand. First off, what happened, and what's his status going forward?
Well, not unfortunate for me. Unfortunate for Kevin. These guys worked their whole life getting ready for that moment, that position. And we're just real sure it's a fracture of the thumb. I don't know what they won't fix it till tomorrow. Let it calm down just a little bit. But he threw a ball and hit a helmet, which quarterbacks do. Tough guy, but he just couldn't grip the ball and handed it over to our backup, Ryan Sager, and that's the way we're going to have to go for a little while here.
Yeah, so with that, you hand the keys over to your offense, at least temporary, to Sager. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Heartland, Wisconsin. What does he bring to the lineup? What is he as a football player? We
have noticed all through fall camp that Ryan is getting himself ready. That was something we really needed to identify, was a backup quarterback, and lo and behold, Ryan came on strong and really has done a good job. Went in the game. I think he was 5 for 8 passing. Drove the team down to the 2-yard line. That was about a 70-yard drive, I think. And he just has a lot of poise, a lot of confidence. He's a big guy, can run. Would remind you a little bit on the field of Kevin Earl. So we will miss Kevin dearly and can't wait for him to get back. If it is what we think it is, a slight fracture, then it's a 6 to 8 week deal, maybe. So Ryan's going to have to, as you just said, get the keys and drive the car for a while, but we have all the confidence in the world in him.
Well, you said there's similarities between him and Kevin, but at the same time, every guy's a little bit different. So does the offense then change at all to maybe fit Ryan's strengths a little bit more, or do you just run it as was?
No, I think we do what we do. It's exactly what both of those guys are good at. We're a drop-back team, but he can scramble a little bit, as could Kevin. He's a high-percentage completion guy. He's smart. He knows where the reads are. He's in tune with Coach Bouchonner, our offensive coordinator. So let's go. Let's give Ryan the football and let's see what he's got.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems that just to talking to him afterwards that he's a fairly confident guy, which is what any coach likes in his quarterback. So I think it seems like you guys are going to be in pretty good hands.
I think the important thing is the players believe in him, and we know what he can do. And I thought at the end of fall camp, Coach Bouchonner and I talked, and we were both in agreement that we've got a good backup quarterback, that Ryan came through with flying colors and is ready to go, and it just happened in the first game a little sooner than we thought.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Well, we've heard from the head coach. Now it's time for our own Andre Fields to weigh in on Saturday's season opener. We'll talk Saturday storylines next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
Plenty of storylines to emerge from Saturday's 62-13 loss at Oregon. And here to talk a little bit more about that is former USD defensive back and MidcoSN analyst Andre Fields. And Andre, no question that the biggest story coming out of this game is the injury to Kevin Earl. Coach Glenn has confirmed it's a broken thumb on his throwing hand. He had surgery today. and will be out 6 to 8 weeks. No question, huge blow to this football team.
Yeah, huge blow, Jay. I mean, the one thing I'm sure Coach Glenn wanted was to get out of this game injury-free, and to have that injury come against your starting quarterback, no doubt a huge blow to the team. But, of course, it is football, and when you're playing a team like Oregon, as powerful as they are, some injuries are probably going to be expected. Wish it wasn't Earl, especially with all the time that he put in the offseason, gaining the chemistry with these Coyote offense. So it's going to be hard, but it's always going to be next man up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is the most frustrating. You feel for Kevin first and foremost, and all the reports were extremely positive on his maturation as not only a quarterback, but as a leader for this football team. Just voted a team captain last week, so certainly disappointed. The only good thing out of it, doesn't appear to be season ending, so there is a chance for him to come back and help this team at some point. But as you said, it sounds harsh, but it is. The Coyotes have to take that next man up approach, and that man is Ryan Sager. He certainly sounded up for the challenge when we talked to him after the game on Saturday.
I've always had confidence in myself as a player, but I think I needed to get some of my teammates to have confidence in me, and I think that I did that tonight, and I'm just excited for the opportunity, and I'm ready to lead this team to where it needs to go.
Now, not only is he confident, Andre, but it seems like the team is confident in him, and that may be the most important piece of this equation.
Yeah, it absolutely is the most important piece, because this is the guy for the next 6 to 8 weeks that's going to be running the Coyote offense. Now, the positive thing is if they're confident in him, then they're going to just get out there and keep rolling. They're not going to have the idea that they have to do something magical or extra to make up for the quarterback position, and that's a huge thing. The other thing, Jay, is that this is his third year in the program, his third year with Coach Bashaner, so he knows what's going on. It's just a matter of getting out there and getting live bullets thrown at you and then overcoming it.
And it doesn't sound like they're going to change anything. They're going to run it just like they were going to run it when Kevin Earl was in charge. So that's a good sign that they're confident enough in his grasp on the offense to just status quo as we go forward. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about the actual game against the Ducks. Autzen Stadium, widely considered to be one of the toughest places to play in the country, but I thought the Coyotes handled that environment very well. They did have 2 false starts in the red zone, which cost them a chance at a touchdown, but other than that, they seem to do a great job. Does that mean anything going forward if they could handle that?
I think so. I think it means that they're a very poised team. I think it shows Coach Glenn that some of the maturity and the things that they gained from close losses last year, from playing in other FBS games like at Wisconsin when you're in front of 60,000 people, it shows that this team has a maturity about them that maybe they didn't have toward the end of some of those tight games last year. So it's definitely going to be something they can build off of. And to only have 5 total penalties in a game of that magnitude, 2 of them coming in that one drive, I mean, that shows that you're hitting on all cylinders emotionally at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely. That's a great thing, because this part of the season, that's when those things normally hurt you the most, is because everybody's trying to get in sync with one another. So, yeah, I agree. That's a good sign. Well, as a whole, the offense had a pretty good day. 370 yards of total offense, including 172 on the ground. They had 19 first downs, held the ball for almost 40 minutes in this game. Bottom line, I thought the potential we saw in the preseason was a little more realized, especially in that first half.
Yeah, and what I think it did, Jay, was it validated for us all the things that we thought about the offense going into the season. We knew that the offense was going to be a little bit ahead of pace than the defense was, and we saw that on Saturday. 370 yards against basically a first-team Ducks offense, because most of that came in the first half. I mean, that shows that they do have some things going. I think it speaks a lot about the guys up front, where they have 4 starters. These are the big trench guys, you know, and they say that's one of the biggest differences between that level and the FCS level is the size up front. But I think the Coyote offensive line handled themselves appropriately.
Yeah, clearly they got some work done up there to allow for that kind of offensive production. So, all right, good stuff, Andre. Well, South Dakota will kick off the home portion of its schedule on Saturday against William Penn. We'll preview the battle with the Statesmen next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com.
And welcome back. Well, with the Oregon experience now behind them, USD is shifting its focus to Saturday's home opener against William Penn University. Located in Oskaloosa, Iowa, William Penn is an NAIA program that competes in the Midwest League of the Mid-States Football Association. The Statesmen finished 3-3 in that league a year ago, and were 5-6 overall, which was their first losing season since 2007. These guys love to run the football. In fact, more than 80% of their offense came on the ground in 2013, and it worked out okay for them in last week's season opener against Bethel of Tennessee. The Statesmen won that one 52-13, outgaining the Wildcats 557-181, with 448 of those yards coming on the ground. Now, this will be the second meeting all time between William Penn and South Dakota. The first came back in 2009, with the Coyotes recording a 52-0 decision at the Dakota Dome. Now, needless to say, there's a completely different mindset going into this game than there was for the Ducks. Instead of being a 50-plus point underdog, it's the Coyotes that are heavily favored. Joe Glenn says none of that matters. Same game, same goals.
And you go out to play every game regardless if you're playing Notre Dame or Pivnik Tech. So it doesn't make any difference who you're playing. You got to go out and play your level best and get focused. And this is not a Lou Holtz deal. We've got tape. This is a good football team.
It is William Penn and USD at the Dakota Dome on Saturday afternoon, and you can see it live right here on Midco Sports Network. Andre Fields and I will kick off our coverage of the Yotes 2014 home opener at 2 p.m. Between now and then, producer Alex Heinert and I will be posting another video blog with the absolute latest on USD's quarterback situation. Look for The Corner on MidcoSN.com on Wednesday. All right, that is our time. We'll see you next week for another episode of Coyote Corner.